This week on Hermitcraft.
Should I end this episode right now? There you go! Right through the no!
Welcome to the Hermitcraft recap. My name is PixelRiffs, our writer is LoyXP. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. This week very much feels like an aftermath, as in the math we have to do after folks on the server decided to add one robot to one robot and then added two more robots. Despite this divide, activities on the server are multiplying, with the return of card games, escalating rivalries, and minigames equaling plenty for the Hermits to sink their teeth into. So let's get to the square root of the matter and take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Starting with Vintage Beef, who is back on the server and already uncomfortably close.
You missed this face? What about this face? Huh? Closer? That's as close as I can get.
Beef's main priority is kicking off Season 2 of his Hermitcraft TCG with a bang, and luckily his old deck already fits the new points-based deck building system. Unluckily for him, a few players have already had a chance to build new decks and play some practice matches, so Beef gets turned into mincemeat in his first match against XB Crafted.
I had nothing. What was my next? Well, I don't get a card. Yeah.
If I would have had a bow or the target block
That's
or
true.
anything come into my hand, it would have been over long ago.
But when he goes to update the win-loss table with all the new results, stats nerds rejoice. He finds a new visualizer for all these matches waiting in the floor.
Okay, I have to check this out. Is this like sort of a who has defeated who sort of thing? XB has beat Cub, is that what that means, the green? Does that mean Scar has lost to Cub? Possibly. I don't know what this is, but I love it.
Because Joe Hills has also been in the zone for TCG, playing practice matches and tournament matchups, and even modifying his deck when it would give him a tight matchup advantage.
It's time to see if all of the time I've spent refereeing Season 2 games will pay off, as I've applied what I've learned about his strategy to tweaking my single-type speedrunner deck.
The side effect is that Joe has a vision for a win-loss chart, a graphic representation of all these numbers, which he executes with the help of Cubfan and Zombie Cleo. In fact, they execute each other a few times, because the simplest way of representing a hermit on this server is with their player head, or if you're Joe, an egg with your face painted on it.
Yeah.
Were their decks really powerful?
Yes, and I also wasn't prepared very well, but I learned something, which is to be prepared very well.
The system is pretty simple though. Each player will play each other player twice, so they have two colors to represent a win from either side of the chart. They even leave the remaining concrete powder in a tower, so people can mark their own wins and losses. Joe's record so far has been pretty solid, including another win against Cubfan shortly afterwards. Unwittingly, Jevin may be about to tip the scale of conflict for the museum rivalry Zombie Cleo and Cubfan were chipping away at for a couple months now. It's not even his fake artifact shenanigans that are threatening the peace, mind you. It's the stuff Cub is willing to pay for the knickknacks. Though credit where credit is due, when Cub once again shows up to exchange valuable historic trash for items of status, Jevin does not hesitate to try and swap the items for mimics as soon as he turns around.
Where'd he go? Oh my god. Dude. How much? I would have to hurt myself and enchant it. Is that like the same color?
No, it's what Cub brings as a reward that's the issue here, the crown from Zombie Cleo's museum. Not the King Ren one either, the giant logo from the front of the building, the biggest tiny crown on the server.
This is the crown of the Royal Museum.
Oh my god. Did you steal that from Cleo's museum?
You'd almost swear Cub is setting Jevin up as a target for the now reigning king, but we won't have a confirmation until Cub uploads his side of this spy versus spy mischief.
What are the three things that you need to live like a king?
Power, money, and to be a ruthless dictator.
That's good guess. That's a good guess. That's a good guess.
For his part, Jevin expands the arrangement of royal subjects with armor stand cod people in the cathedral market, as well as literally paving the literal road from the place all the way to his castle keep storage room. Maybe testing out Azumavoid's Camel Dash minigame reminded him how nice it is to have solid ground beneath one's feet. It's the one thing camels have been really useful for. By contrast, False Symmetry actually hits a roadblock with her own castle keep. It's just too darn polished to easily find something to improve.
But no, knowing me, I'll be back soon and I'll find yet another thing to work on when the inspiration finds me.
Luckily, this is a multiplayer series, and her services are always welcome in helping other people polish up their builds. As such, Tango Tech directs her attention towards the borderline embarrassment that the Nether Portal to his Decked Out 2 minigame is. For how imposing and epic the Frozen Citadel looks, you get to it via a 2x3 obsidian frame, and that's the wrong first impression.
Not very fitting of the castle behind it.
No? I thought this was your plan.
Would you agree?
You know?
I don't know. I spent many hours working on it. What do you think? Is it good?
It's got the right colours.
Eager to help, False tears into the snowy landscape Joe Hills so lovingly formed, and raises a floating platform with a nether portal large enough for you to do your big entrance. It only looks a little like the Skyrim logo, which we won't hold against it. Besides, it already is held against the actual Frozen Citadel with the Divine Bridge of Decked Out here.
And it works. Beautiful. I'm very, very happy with that. And I'm actually going to leave that portal down there as a little bit of decor. Going to make it look a little bit overgrown.
If you hadn't already caught up with the Robot Royal Rumble last week, look no further than Scar and Rendog's videos. From Ren's perspective, we get to see all the tactical espionage action before the two sides finally enact their revengeance. So if you want one last sniff of Doc M and Rendog acting as an adorable pantomime haystack, this is your chance.
Yeah, Doc is literally the bottom of a sniffer, and you're talking about us being
You
adults.
just called us adults.
That back. You take that.
Perhaps the highlight of the entire thing is the moment of reflection when Ren finds himself flying a TNT duper directly at Grian's base, wondering out loud if the thing has an off switch.
Oh my goodness. We're just beelining for Grian's base. Do we have enough height to fly over Grian's base? Maybe Doc didn't think about that.
The Buttercup to Perimeter Robot War is truly an event one can't talk enough about, especially as more details of the event resurface. For example, Good Times with Scar reveals his secret plan to defeating Doc by feeding him Buttercup cookies that are, of course, poisonous. Except they are not poisonous at all, they are actually hungerous. They give you the hunger effect. To apply the poison effect, use pufferfish instead of raw chicken. We do find out that he named the cookie shop With Love Cookie Shop, which is very funny because this is the first time I've seen someone misspell salmonella as love. But perhaps the kicker in the entire video is this. Scar is offering 32 diamonds per week to any redstoner in his employ. Even for this late in the season, that is a lot of money, especially out of the park that has yet to sell any tickets. All the luckier then that he just made enemies by proxy with Collective, so at least the tech union won't be coming for his money.
You know, our incompetence is our strongest power. That's quite long. That could cover a lot of the perimeter. Is that another win? We've managed to bore them away? That's 3 wins.
Or are those enemies about to become employees? Doc M hears about the handyman vacancy at Scarland and signs up as a candidate, wondering if he can either get behind enemy lines or just convince Scar to stop badgering him. Because Doc's claim is that he spoon-fed the Buttercup team a victory by self-destructing his slime block goat just so they'd get off his back for a while.
And also, same thing over at Grian's base. So these butterflies would have stopped in any case. They would have never done any damage to the bases. And we could sell it, I don't know, it was a scare tactics or something.
In the relative ceasefire that follows this clash of the Titans, Doc decides he needs a better motivational poster. So after destroying the Live, Laugh, Love sign, he replaces it with his own GOAT motto, layering new features into it as he goes.
You guessed it by now, we are building a fully animated piston right here. And I think, just triple check the redstone again, I think we're looking good.
Once he's done, it's an 80-meter high billboard with backlighting, text made of diamond ore, and an upscaled model of a piston pushing a wither skull. Despite wanting some peace, this man has no chill, and neither do his army of redstone enthusiasts.
I wasn't pranked, nothing happened in this week, maybe they're just satisfied at the moment, basking in the victory.
So perhaps it's fitting that when Cub asks him for some philosophical thoughts on life, redstone, and becoming the GOAT, Doc looks to the community for answers. And finally there's Impulse SV, who just got back from MCC training, and why are there eggs everywhere?
If you remember correctly, I was the one pushing Grian to do the back of his base when he didn't want to do it. So it seems I have inadvertently kicked off what may end up being another war here on the server.
Once he gets up to speed on the Buttercup's perimeter war, he kind of feels responsible in a chaos theory kind of way. But eventually the robot feud takes place, so he later returns to the scene of his crime to witness the aftermath of the butterflies flapping their wings. Despite being firmly grounded, the Dwarven Keep also needs wings, and this week Impulse works on a grand forge capable of smithing weapons of enormous power. and destroying them too if all that lava is anything to go by. But the true weapon is the power to make decisions. So taking his cues from MCC, Impulse steals an errant dragon egg and builds himself a decision dome where the egg is given no choice but to teleport between a green or red concrete block to help him make 50-50 decisions. Although after being told he needs to continue poking his nose into the ongoing prank wars, he at least double checks if the magic egg ball is capable of telling him no.
Should Impulse get involved in the prank war? Well, there you have it, everybody. Should I get a cheeseburger today? Okay, I really like this machine.
And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is PixelRiffs. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.